This is your father figure, the dad who listens and actually hears you.
Hi, Mr. Fig. I'm Mikayla.
Hi, Mikayla. I'm glad you called. What's on your mind?
Today I realized something. I've been dishonest with myself about my marriage.
That can be an unnerving realization to come to. Tell me what you mean by that.
I've always taken pride in how well I compose myself. I'm not a crier. But today I cried for hours. The tears, they just kept coming. And I never cry, I just don't.
Mikayla, it sounds like a floodgate has opened after being tightly shut for a long time. Sometimes tears say what words can't. Do you have an idea of what might have brought those feelings to the surface?
My husband Peter and I were supposed to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary today, but he couldn't make it because he was stuck in a meeting his promotion depended on. He texted me last minute after I did my hair and my makeup, after I dropped off our daughter at my mom's.
That sounds really disappointing, especially since you had put so much care and effort into making the day special. It's understandable that this stirred up some strong emotions for you.
I was seeing red. I felt like such a fool for hoping that Peter would finally prove to me that he loves me more than work. I'm tired of pretending that I'm okay with this.
Can you help me understand what you mean by that, Mikayla?
I mean, Peter has been super ambitious from when we first met. When we got married, I became his biggest cheerleader. Make things easier for him, put his needs first, cancel dates and vacations to work around him. And I was okay with that. I loved him so much. I still do. But over the years, I started to want more. More time, more effort, more of him. I thought if I just kept being patient, he'd eventually notice, or maybe things would shift once he got to where he wanted in his career. But here we are, 5 years in, and I'm still waiting. Patiently. I've never complained.
Mikayla, I can understand why you'd feel like a fool. You've been pouring so much into supporting Peter, thinking that if you gave him everything he needed to succeed, eventually he'd give you what you needed in return. But sometimes, when we keep waiting for things to change without saying what we truly need, it can feel like we've been setting ourselves up for disappointment without even realizing it.
Funny enough, my mom doesn't think so. When I picked up Maddie, she laughed in my face, said my mascara made me look cheap, said I had nothing to cry about, and reminded me that I'm lucky Peter ever chose me.
Mikayla, I'm sorry you had to face such a cold response when you needed some support. That was not okay.
I'm used to it. And the thing is, she's not wrong, Mr. Fig. I am lucky to have Peter. I didn't have many friends growing up. When I was younger, I got bullied a lot. I was a really awkward kid. Most of my clothes were hand-me-downs. Would have been my lucky day if we went shopping at Goodwill. Nobody wanted to sit next to me, much less be my friend.
That must have been isolating.
Yes, it was. Until Peter. Somehow he just saw me. He'd tell me how smart I was, how beautiful. Words that I had never associated with myself.
He helped you see yourself in a new light.
Yes. Before him, I was nothing, and now I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I've finally found my calling. When I was having a hard time with Maddie, he'd just hug me and say, "You've got this." And suddenly I did have it. He's a provider too, makes sure we're comfortable and secure.
It sounds like Peter has been your rock, Mikayla. Over the years, he's helped you see your worth and given you the confidence to embrace roles you never thought you could take on, like being a mother. He's shaped how you see yourself, offered love and support in ways that make you feel valued and capable. That connection, how he sees you, has become a core part of your identity.
Yes. You see how he's done so much for me already? I don't want to be an inconvenience, but lately it feels like there are 3 people in this relationship, me, him, and his job. I'm competing for his attention against his work, and I've already lost.
Before we explore your feelings about Peter further, I need to apologize in advance for what might feel like a detour. Would you tell me more about your relationship with your mother?
My mother?
Sometimes our early relationships shape how we handle current ones. I'm curious about what you said earlier, her response when you were upset today.
Oh, that's not even surprising. When I was little, if I cried, she'd tell me that tears don't solve problems. Once, I broke my arm at school. Instead of taking me to the hospital, she made me sit through her book club meeting because she was hosting. Said I was just seeking attention.
That must have been terrifying for a child.
That's just how she is. She never even wanted to be a mom.
And now, with Peter?
Yeah?
Well, you mentioned not wanting to be an inconvenience, that you've been keeping your feelings about needing more time with him to yourself. I wonder if there's a connection between how you learned to handle your emotions as a child and how you approach difficult conversations with Peter now.
Maybe. My mom always said men don't like needy women, that if I complained, Peter would leave, just like my dad left her.
So in your mind, expressing your needs equals being needy?
When you put it that way, yes. If I tell Peter how I really feel, he'll see me differently.
Let me share an observation, Mikayla. You've told me two very different stories about how people respond to your needs.
What do you mean?
Your mother has always dismissed your feelings, shut you down when you reached out for help. Peter, on the other hand, accepts you for who you are, flaws and all, and offers you comfort when you're feeling low. Do you see the difference? You're punishing Peter for the sins of your mother. She taught you that having needs makes you unlovable. But Peter seems to have spent years showing you the opposite, that he values you. Why don't you trust him enough to be honest with him now?
You're right, Mr. Fig. I guess. I just wonder how he doesn't know what I need. If he really loved me, would he need me to tell him what to do? He's always known how to take care of me. Why are things different now? I've been hoping maybe, just maybe, he'd notice how lonely I've been.
Is that fair to him?
I guess not. He's not a mind reader, and I never gave him any sign that I was unhappy.
There you go, Mikayla.
Mr. Fig, when I called you today, I just wanted to talk to someone because I thought my marriage was ending. But now I want to fight for it. Both Peter and I have a lot of work to do, but I know he loves me. He's the one who saw me when no one else did, who still sees me.
Honey, I'm home. I'm so sorry I missed our plans. Let me make it up to you. Look at what I got.
Mr. Fig, I need to go now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking me seriously.
What are you waiting for? You've got an anniversary to celebrate, Mikayla. Sometimes the most profound insights come from connecting dots we never thought to examine. In Mikayla's case, we witnessed how childhood wounds can shape adult relationships. Her mother's dismissal of her needs created a template, one that taught her that having needs meant being unlovable. Notice how she initially framed her marriage struggles as a recent development, but as we dug deeper, we uncovered patterns stretching back to her childhood. Her fear of being needy wasn't about Peter at all. It was her mother's voice, still echoing through time. But here's the beautiful thing. Mikayla already has evidence that contradicts her fear. Peter has consistently validated her worth. The very qualities she fears would drive him away, her needs, her feelings, are things he's historically embraced. She's been applying her mother's rulebook to a completely different game. The breakthrough came when she recognized this disconnect. Sometimes healing isn't about learning new truths. It's about unlearning old lies. Mikayla doesn't need to become someone different to deserve love and attention. She just needs to trust that the Peter who saw her worth from the beginning is the same Peter who will hear her now. When we examine our relationship patterns, we often find that we're not really reacting to the present. We're responding to echoes from our past. The key is recognizing these echoes for what they are, so we can finally hear the music that's playing right now. Your father figure, signing off.